What if the ballerina you see on stage is actually a trained assassin, forged in blood and vengeance? In a world ruled by secret societies and deadly codes, one girl's path from orphan to unstoppable killer will shake the very foundation of the underworld. This is the untold story of Eve Macaro, and it all begins with a spinning toy and the death of her father. The movie begins with a haunting image. A young girl named Eve Macaro is sitting alone in a hospital. Her face is bloodied, her hands are shaking, and she's holding a small, spinning ballerina toy. As the toy spins, we're taken back in time. Eve once lived a quiet life with her father, Javier. It was peaceful until one tragic day. Armed men suddenly storm their home. Javier quickly hides Eve and defends their home with skill and precision, taking down the gunmen one by one. But the danger isn't over yet. Their leader, a cold and powerful man known as the Chancellor, shows up. He reveals something shocking. His wife was once part of his cult, and Javier belonged to a rival group. He believes Javier stole her away, which led to her death. And now, he wants revenge. The Chancellor gives Javier a cruel choice. First, kill himself and Eve will be spared. And second, or kill me and both he and Eve will die. Javier, broken and desperate, raises the gun toward himself. But then he hears Eve's voice. That moment gives him strength. He fights back again, taking down more attackers, but not without a price. Javier is shot, but manages to carry Eve out of the house just as a bomb explodes, wiping out the rest of the gunmen. Outside, Javier collapses and dies in front of his daughter's eyes. Back in the hospital, Eve is met by a familiar face, Winston Scott, a man connected to the underworld. He offers his condolences and tells Eve that her father's family, the Ruska Roma, can take her in. Eve agrees. Winston brings her to a mysterious place run by a powerful woman known only as the Director. This is no ordinary family. These are assassins, dancers, warriors trained in body and mind. Here, Eve also meets Nogi, a quiet but deadly teacher who tells her about the Kikimora, mythical spirits that can be good or evil depending on the person they're tied to. A hint at what Eve herself might become. Over the next 12 years, Eve trains day and night. She studies ballet under the Director, learning grace and precision. But that's not all. Nogi teaches her how to fight, how to shoot, how to kill. Eve's feet bleed from dancing. Her hands blister from weapons training. But she doesn't stop. She becomes sharper, faster, deadlier. Yet, with all this strength, Eve remains mostly alone, except for one friend, Tatiana. But one day, Tatiana disappears. Her things are gone. The Director tells Eve the truth. Tatiana wasn't strong enough. She didn't have what it takes to be part of the Ruska Roma. So she was let go. Then, something unexpected happens. The house is visited by none other than John Wick, yes, that John Wick. He's come seeking help from the Director and everyone is stunned to see him. Eve sees her chance. She approaches John and asks him how she can get out. How she can leave this life of training and become what he is, a true assassin in the field. John gives her a simple answer: you can always walk out. But the choice is yours. Eve Macaro is ready. Her training is done. And now it's time for her first mission in the real world. The Director sends Eve on her first field assignment: protect a young woman named Katla Park from a deadly assassin named Il Song. Eve finds Katla at a nightclub, dancing in the crowd, unaware of the danger heading her way. From the shadows, Eve spots Song and his men slowly approaching Katla, looking like predators closing in on their prey. Without wasting a second, Eve steps in and takes the fight straight to them. She uses every move she's learned, brutal, efficient, and merciless. After defeating the guards, she faces off against Song himself. The fight ends when Eve brutally stabs him multiple times with a hammer. With the threat gone, she guides Katla out to safety. Eve completes another successful hit, this time in a quiet apartment. But just as she's leaving, her car is rammed by a van and two armed men jump out, guns blazing. They want her dead. But this is Eve Macaro we're talking about. She takes them down in seconds. Then she notices something chilling. One of the attackers has an X-shaped scar on his wrist, just like the men who killed her father. Desperate for answers, she cuts off the man's hand and brings it to the Director. The Director confirms it's the mark of a powerful cult, the same one the Chancellor leads. But there's a problem. The cult and the Ruska Roma have a truce, meaning they don't interfere in each other's affairs. The Director refuses to help further. Eve checks in at the famous Continental Hotel, where assassins come and go under strict rules. No bloodshed on hotel grounds. She meets Winston, the man who once helped her after her father's death. At first, Winston warns her not to go after the cult. It's too risky. But then, Eve hands him a gold token, the same one he gave her all those years ago. It's a symbol of trust and a request. Winston agrees to help. He sends her to find an assassin named Daniel Pine, who might know more. Eve tracks Pine to the Continental in Prague. She sneaks into his room, but to her surprise she finds his young daughter, Ella, instead. Pine walks in. Both he and Eve raise their guns. But once Eve explains she's not there to hurt anyone, only to find the cult, they lower their weapons. Meanwhile, in the hotel lobby, a woman named Lena, working for the Chancellor, watches from a distance. She contacts him, revealing Eve's location. The Chancellor decides to break the rules. He doubles the bounty on Pine's head, hoping someone will ignore the Continental's law and take the bait. Soon, cult gunmen attack Pine's room. But he's ready. One of his booby traps explodes, instantly killing one intruder. The others are taken down by Eve and Pine in a fast, brutal fight. But just as they reach outside, the cult overwhelms them. Eve and Pine are knocked out and Ella is kidnapped. Eve wakes up next to two cult members. Because she didn't kill anyone inside the hotel, she is spared execution. But the two who broke the rules? They're gunned down instantly. The hotel manager tells Eve it's time to check out. But the punishment doesn't end there. Eve is taken back by the Ruska Roma and locked in a cell. There, she meets another assassin named Petra. Petra has a chilling message. I'm you in 10 years. Then comes a deadly challenge. They're both given gun parts and must assemble and shoot the other fast. Eve narrowly wins, shooting Petra just a split second before she gets shot herself. The director tells Eve it's time to let go of her quest for revenge. But Eve has made up her mind. She won't stop. Eve visits an old contact, a gun shop owner named Frank. As Frank shows her his collection, cult members attack again. Bullets fly. Frank is shot in the hand, but Eve fights back and kills them all. Grateful, Frank gives her something priceless, the secret location of the cult's base, hidden deep in the Austrian mountains. And now, with nothing holding her back, Eve sets her sights on her final target. Eve Macaro has come this far. And now the endgame begins. She arrives in the quiet Austrian town of Hallstatt, a place known to secretly house deadly assassins. It may look peaceful on the outside, but beneath the surface it's a battlefield waiting to erupt. Eve enters a local tavern, hoping to find her enemies. And it doesn't take long, cult gunmen spot her. They attack and Eve goes into full survival mode, fighting them off with brutal skill. But things quickly escalate when the bartender, a woman named Agnetha, makes a call. She's not just serving drinks. She's one of them. Soon, more cult members storm the tavern. Eve doesn't back down. She fights through them one by one. In a final brutal blow, she shoots Agnetha in the head, then heads into the basement. There, she finds a stash of weapons, guns, grenades, everything she needs. Eve fights her way through the remaining cultists, but during the chaos, she's tackled and pinned down. Her jacket is ripped open, revealing the Ruska Roma tattoo on her back. That's when the Chancellor realizes exactly who she is. Eve makes her way deeper into the town, where she's finally confronted by the Chancellor and a woman she never expected, Lena. The Chancellor then drops a bombshell. Lena is Eve's older sister. Lena resents Eve deeply. She tells her that Javier, their father, took Eve away to live a better life, leaving Lena behind in the cult. She also blames Javier for their mother's death, believing it happened because she left the cult to be with a man from the Ruska Roma. But that's not all. Ella, the young girl Eve tried to protect, is the Chancellor's granddaughter. He believes she is chosen to become a killer like him, while the students of the Ruska Roma at least get to choose their own paths. The Chancellor, done with talk, orders his men to kill both Eve and Lena. Grenades are thrown into the room. Lena is killed. But Eve barely survives. The Chancellor picks up the phone and calls the director. He tells her Eve's actions are an act of war. The director tries to explain she didn't send Eve. She acted alone. But the Chancellor gives her an ultimatum: deal with Eve by midnight or it's war. As the clock ticks closer to midnight, Eve prepares for her last stand. She straps on her gear and gathers her weapons. But someone is waiting for her. John Wick, he's been sent by the director to stop her. The two legendary assassins face off. Neither of them wants to do this, but they fight anyway. Punches fly. Guns fire. But neither gains the upper hand. It ends in a draw. John looks her in the eye and lets her go, giving her the chance to finish what she started. Eve returns to the town. But the Chancellor isn't holding back. He's called every assassin within reach to hunt her down. What does Eve do? She grabs a flamethrower. And she goes full scorched earth, burning down the cultists left and right. But then comes Dex, the Chancellor's right-hand man, with his own flamethrower. Eve's fuel runs dry. Dex is about to finish her off. Thinking fast, Eve grabs a fire hose, using it to block the flames. Just as they're about to go head-to-head, boom. Dex explodes. John sniped Dex's tank from a rooftop, giving Eve her chance to move forward. The Chancellor is making his escape with Ella in tow. Eve catches up. She takes out all of his guards one by one until it's just her and the Chancellor. He tries to talk his way out, saying, "Killing me won't change anything." But Eve isn't here for speeches. She interrupts his monologue with a bullet straight to the head. Justice. Served. She frees Ella and the two walk away. Ella is reunited with her father, Daniel Pine, in the hospital. As for Eve, she checks herself into the Continental Hotel in New York, hoping for a moment of rest. Later, she attends a ballet performance. On stage, she sees Katla, the girl she once saved, dancing gracefully. But peace never lasts long in this world. Suddenly, a message flashes on Eve's phone. A $5 million bounty has just been placed on her head. She looks around and sees others in the theater receiving the same alert. Eve stands. She walks out of the building, ready for whatever comes next. By this, the movie ends in here. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.